Good afternoon, good evening, admission officers. I would like to share some of my insights of the relationship between feedback and our mental health. So, this is inspired by the book The Human Use of Human Beings by Norbert Wiener. In this book, he talks about obviously the control theory and specifically feedback. And I made a simple animation to raise awareness on this issue. So here's the definition of feedback. There's negative and positive feedback. Negative feedback is having behaviors reach an equilibrium. So it's going to control that behavior by its margin of error at a given time. For example, our air conditioners. So when the air is, for example, we want to designate it to 31 degrees. If it's hotter than 31, it's going to have cooling air. But when it's too low, it's going to stop sending uh, cool air, and that's how it reaches equilibrium through receiving feedback of the room temperature. Then there's positive feedback, and uh, Wiener says that this type of feedback tends to reach an extreme instead of an equilibrium. Um, when it receives more feedback, it's going to increase the deviation rather than decrease it. For example, microphone screech or echoing. Um, so it's going to grow louder and louder. Um, then there's the real life issue of mental health. I think this is a very great comparison of negative feedback and positive feedback on mindsets. So a healthy mindset helps us reach an equilibrium at the end. For example, we lose a friend and then we feel sad, but then um, we're going to make ourselves more happy. For example, we go running or like we eat a great meal. This is going to help us grow happier. Uh, the effort is to help us grow happier, and this is why we have resilience. However, for positive feedback, um, we can compare it to learned helplessness, which is when we go to an extreme as it receives more feedback, and we do more efforts and then we fail, and then we do more efforts if fail we feel like we fail more drastically. So reach desperation and we're depressed and think that efforts are useless, resulting in inaction. And I want to illustrate this and encourage people that we don't have to feel that way. This is very simple animation that I made through Touch Designer. um, Here's a brief overview. There's the null component, and this is component 1. We first send the signal to component 1, and then as you can see here, here's a feedback. This is a feedback block, and this animation is actually achieved through like um, you can say the model of positive feedback, and we sent this image from component 1 to feedback, and this this image and feedback is then sent back to component. And because we're making this circle move in some random directions, um the the position of the circle will change, and the feedback will report the new image to component 1. And for example, this circle is moving to the left. This is the previous image, and this is the second point. This is the current point. We can see that it's to the left of the previous image. And through this, we could exhibit the trail of the circle. And I want to make a comparison. or like a symbolism that the circle is an individual. It's each and every one of us. And the color of the circle, this is just to clear its trail. And the color of the circle is our state. Um, Here's how we make this look a little bit better, that the trail is transparent. So as you can see here, here's the 0.95 of transparency, and the last image will be at a 0.95 opacity of the current image. This is how it grows more transparent. Um, Now we get to change the color through hue offset, and this is the final look. Let's play this. The hue offset is the color isn't changed through assign functions. It's kind of a cheating. I'm making it like have a periodic change in its color using the sine function, and like over time this value is going to grow larger, so then it changes over time. um and here's that was positive feedback because it's changing over time periodically, and whether it's like red or yellow, it's never growing to a certain extreme. It's just like, for example, we're a little bit merry today, we're a little bit sad the other day, but at the end, we are balanced, we're resilient. However, for negative feedback, it's a minus function, and over time, it grows darker and darker. The colors eventually turning to black. So, the lesson we could learn from this, not really a lesson, but just what I want the audience to reflect is that we could view all events as independent from each other to avoid learned helplessness, and that uh, we shouldn't think like there's no use, the efforts uh, never paid off, because all events are independent from each other, and failure doesn't mean the end of the world, because the next one will probably be good at it. Then I would also like to share some insights on AI. Is that I believe that AI could never achieve negative feedback without reinforcement guided by humans. Its reinforcement learning, I believe, could never be spontaneous. It could never be from itself because the current technology doesn't allow it, and this is why AI can never have moral standards, because for humans we learn what's morality, in my opinion, from outside feedback on what we think is wrong or right, which is also one thing that AI can do. AI can't really determine what's wrong or right from its standpoint, from its um innate or like opinion, or like opinion from within itself. Um, so it can never learn from feedback, like interacting with, I don't know, other robots, that they receive feedback. Oh, this is right to do to my peers, or violence is not a right choice because I've experienced feedback. No, it can never do that. It can only um, collect and interpret, with quotation marks, data. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you very much for your patience, and hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.